Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to our channel and thanks for logging on. Today, a clash of titans. Two of the Holy Trinity, Vacheron Constantin and Audemars Piguet 41mm automatic sports watches go head to head. This is Overseas versus Royal Oak Automatic. Let us start with the challenger because the Overseas family only dates back to 1996, whereas the Royal Oak traces its lineage to 1972, and this latest generation Overseas Automatic has its roots in the year 2016. For the 20th anniversary of the type, Vacheron Constantin invested immensely, took the Overseas way up market. Finally, we had manufacture movements. We had innovative engineering features like quick release lugs, display casebacks, all of it with lush detailing inside and out, and 41mm in diameter, nominally the same size as its great rival from Audemars Piguet. Stainless steel on my 16cm circumference wrist, it cuts an imposing figure, visually reading more like a 42 or even a 43. It is not thick, measuring 11.4mm thick. You're going to find that this one is broad, flat, and more wide across the wrist than any other dimension. This is where it really makes its size felt. 48.9mm lug to lug, but if you include the rigid outcropping of the bracelet, you're going to measure an intimidating 57.6mm, but don't be intimidated. It doesn't wear that way. I can recommend this watch for a wrist as small as 14.5cm in circumference, and there are two straps included as standard that will improve the sizing and the fit for a smaller wrist such as 14cm. Now we'll get a little bit closer to the watch, open it up, jump into the bracelet detail, and you can see that Vacheron spent real money here. The bracelet is handsomely hand finished. You can see the polished facets inboard of the center links. You can see the Maltese cross motif repeated endlessly across the satin finished tops. There's a little bit of a bevel transition on the side and then polished flanks. Note that on both sides the bracelet is fully sizable, every single link removable, with a double deployant clasp featuring yet another Maltese cross in the middle, Vacheron's great logo. You can see it repeated throughout the form of the bracelet links. The bracelet is wonderfully substantial. As I mentioned, fully sizable, and thanks to quick release lugs, easily removable. You can quickly dismantle this watch using the quick release, and you get two straps. To match the dial, both are blue. One is blue alligator leather, one is blue rubber, and those straps come with a separate deployant clasp, so you're getting a lot of value with your Overseas. The case is handsome. Its most exquisite detail is probably this highly geometric flared bevel that expands from the mid case and reaches its peak at the tip of the lug hood. It's very handsome and contrasts nicely with the satin finish. You can see the Generation 3 Overseas features the Maltese cross style bezel, but now, in contrast to the second generation watch, it's riding on a plinth, so there's a bit more apparent thickness and it's a bit more imposing and sporty on the wrist. The dial is difficult to describe, but it is electrifying. It is like the dial of the Vacheron Chronomètre Bleu. It's that exact same sense that you're looking at a piece of mirror polished base plate with a wonderful translucent blue lacquer atop, and I would guess that's exactly what we're looking at. It's probably a Maillot base, or effectively the movement that Longa watch, or the movement material of Longa watches, that's been black polished and then lacquered, if I had to guess at the fabrication. Now you can see the indices are white gold, the hands are white gold, little white gold Maltese cross. There's an aperture for the date, which is black on white. You turn it all over, you have a Vacheron manufacture movement. For the first time ever in the Overseas Auto, an in-house caliber, Geneva hallmark, and not just the movement. You can see it. See if we can locate it on the exterior of the case as well. As since 2012 it has been a full watch test, not just a test of movement finish. We get a bit closer and you can see to good effect the mirrored bevels. You can see the rich Côte de Genève across the surfaces of the bridge, the black polished screws, the engraved 22-karat winding mass with ceramic rotor bearings for high efficiency. Quick set date, 28.8 beat rate compared to the 21.6 of the Audemars. This features a 60-hour power reserve, so a watch that is both aesthetically beautiful and technically competent. On top of that, the watch 150 meters water resistant. Even with the display case back, there is a paramagnetic ring around the exterior of the movement that endows the watch with the same 25,000 ampere per meter anti-magnetism as the solid caseback predecessor model. Beautifully executed front and back. You can really get a sense of that blue. That is the single most becoming feature of the watch, the movement coming in a close second. Now let's talk about the perennial champion, the evergreen Audemars Piguet Royal Oak. Like the Rolex Explorer or the Porsche 911, great things that have great stability through different generations. Consistency is key with the Royal Oak, and Gerald Genta would have recognized this 2012 to 2019 Audemars Piguet 15400 as the product of his own pen. It's bigger than the Jumbo, make no mistake, and it's also more modern and more substantial, technically and physically, than the Jumbo. But the stance, the form, the shapes, the gravitas, unmistakable. 41 millimeters in diameter, thinner than the Vacheron. This one's only 9.8 millimeters thick as I measure it. Across the wrist, if you measure the case itself, lug to lug, 51.6 millimeters. If you measure the rigid plots, these double end links, you're going to find that it actually spans 54.4. So both of these watches wear considerably larger than their nominal size. I would still recommend the Vacheron for a smaller wrist. In spite of the smaller lug-to-lug measurement here, it's not the number one factor. The shape of the lugs and the bracelet really do come into effect. And the bracelet is wonderful. Although the Vacheron is impressive, I will freely concede that the finish on case, bezel, and bracelet of the Royal Oak surpasses what Vacheron is doing. The bevel along the side perfectly continues the flare of the lug hood. You can see that there are polished facets at the end of the intermediate links, finish where you can't see it. You can see how there's a little bit of a channeling to create a groove between the junction of each link, and there's a vertical satin finish on the flank. The detail here is exquisite. Longitudinal satin across the top. Both of these bracelets fixed by screws, but AP with just a few removable links on both sides, so your sizing option's a bit more limited with the AP. The clasp of the AP feels more substantial. It's cut from thicker metal, and it's beautifully executed. As you can see, there's even a little bit of polished bevel on the edge of the trigger for the clasp. It feels more confidence-inspiring, and internally it's a bit more nuanced, with a combination of satin and blasted finish, whereas the Vacheron is simply all of high polish. The interior of the Vacheron clasp seems mass-produced. This one seems a bit more studied and handcrafted. Now, the case itself, like I said, evidence of greater individual component finishing and attention to detail than you'll find on the Vacheron, as small elements like the expressed bezel gasket between the case and the bezel, you just see it a hairline of black. The perfect alignment of character lines from the bezel flank all the way to the case back, and small details like the countersunk white gold hexagonal bezel bolts put this one ahead of the Vacheron by a small margin. If the Vacheron is a 9 out of 10 in terms of external finish, the AP is a 10 out of 10. The dial of the AP is an iconic piece in its own right. This is the Grand Tapisserie, Petite Tapisserie is the Jumbo, Mega Tapisserie is the Offshore. This is also the Boutique Blue, galvanized blue. Since 2012, these dials have been made in-house, cut on a pantograph lathe, which is essentially a mimicry engine that takes a giant model of this dial, traces its lines, and then reproduces that pattern on a dial blank. You can see all of the hands, the AP logo, as well as the indices are white gold, high polish, tarnish resistant, and there is a monotone blue with white on blueprint date disc, a bit more discreet than what you'll find on the Vacheron. Turn it all over. Audemars Piguet manufacture caliber 3120. Let's see if we can see that to good effect. Get a little bit closer, perhaps. 40 joules, automatic winding, 60-hour power reserve, slower beat rate, 21.6, but with a much bigger balance with more inertia than the Vacheron. Bidirectional winding with ceramic rotor bearings, an engraved 22-karat mass with the coats of arms of the Audemars and Piguet family. You have stop seconds and a quick set date with this movement, and nice execution. You can see that there are chamfers, but they're executed mechanically. There's a handsome Cote de Genève, but it's not quite as richly textured as on the Vacheron, and there is an engine turning on the base plate, but for the most part, right down to the black polished screw heads, you see evidence that this is loving finish, but principally mechanically aided, whereas the Vacheron truly feels like no compromise Geneva seal. Screw down crown, although the Jumbo and the 15400 are both 50-meter watches, the screw down hexagonal crown on this 15400 means I would conscience swimming with this watch. I would not say the same of the Jumbo with its push down crown. So let's talk about the advantages of the Royal Oak. First, this is the one to buy new. If you're going to get one of these watches new from a dealer at list price, buy this one for $17,800, because aftermarket they're selling for $27,000 to $28,000 pre-owned with the blue dial in steel. That's a remarkable step up for your $17,800. Also, 5-year warranty here, whereas you get a 2-year with Vacheron. Audemars Piguet stepping up and matching the Rolex standard of 5 years. It is the new normal. Vacheron needs to catch up. I would say narrowly better case and bracelet finish. Both of them are artisanally executed, but whereas the Vacheron is perhaps more impressively finished internally, the Audemars Piguet has a slight edge externally. Both beautiful, both manual finish, but there's just more of it and with better detailing on the Audemars Piguet. I'll also mention that the monotone date on the Audemars Piguet just feels more organic. You can see it blends in better with the dial. If you're going to do a date, do it like this. On the other hand, Vacheron realizing that you don't need to constantly market the watch to the guy who already owns it, so there's no notation of automatic. You're supposed to know that. This watch, on the other hand, we could do without that little wart, and in fact the new 15500 does away with the automatic script. But we're talking about advantages here, and the greatest advantage of this watch is that it is time tested. It defies obsolescence, and it is an iconic model. It's right up amongst the ranks of the Patek Philippe Nautilus, the Rolex Submariner, the Omega Speedmaster Professional, the Breitling Navitimer, one of the greats of all time, not just for its brand but for the industry as a whole, with unrivaled and unbeatable prestige that has a tangible benefit. Because of this watch's reputation, you benefit when you purchase it new because of that incredible resale value. So for once, prestige and status have a tangible payoff other than psychic satisfaction. It is a slimmer watch, and that by a considerable margin. As you can see, the two placed close together, there's simply no comparison. The Vacheron looks almost like an offshore next to the Royal Oak. And finally, I'm going to mention that with a full balance bridge and a free sprung index, I would bet that this movement, originally designed for the offshore, is a little bit tougher at the limit than the Vacherons. So as a sports watch caliber, a bit more appropriate, and with hacking seconds, it has the stop second setting function that the Vacheron lacks. Now, let's jump back to the Vacheron because I feel like I'm almost bad-mouthing it. Overall, VC has invested immensely more in its current overseas auto than AP has in either the 15400 or the new 15500. This is a watch that feels fresh. Though released in 2016, the design is handsome, it's current, and it has a bit of an eternal appeal. Though not a forever watch like the Royal Oak, it does trace its basic design back to Vacheron's 1977 222, so the look is standing the test of time. But the pre-owned value is unbeatable. The first big advantage of the Vacheron: it's a watch that sells new for $19,700 and pre-owned for about $17,000 to $18,000. You pick this watch up for $17,000, less than the new retail price of the AP, you are flying. You're getting an incredible timepiece for the money. I would also mention that the quick release lugs are a huge advantage inherently because they make strap and bracelet swapping easily, but the fact that you get two additional straps and an extra clasp, both of which work with this quick release lug system, that's an unbeatable investment in real added value and flexibility for the owner. Advantage Vacheron. I'll also mention that the bracelet, which is fully sizable on both sides, look at all of those individual removable links, gives you a better opportunity to find the perfect size than you'll get with the Audemars Piguet. So on that basis, fit and ergonomics, advantage Vacheron. Now jumping over to the movement itself, although it doesn't have the full balance bridge or the hacking seconds or the free sprung index of the Audemars Piguet, nevertheless, it's more beautifully executed. You can see that mirrored chamfer, that's the real thing, executed by hand with files and hand tools. No machined bevel. You can also see black polished screw heads with chamfered slots, not just the black polished heads that you see on the AP. The finish, even at the micro level of individual screw execution, better on the Vacheron. The rotor, engraved and 22 karat, features satin finish. It features polishing, it features blasted frosted centering, which is absolutely extraordinary. And I should mention, it might not even be blasted finish, it might be chiseled. So you're looking at an extraordinary hand-finished movement here, and a watch that is actually better suited as a sports watch. Despite a potentially more delicate movement, it is far more water resistant than the AP, 150 meters versus 50. And while the AP probably meets the ISO 764 for an anti-magnetic watch, that's only 4,800 ampere per meter resistance. This watch has 25,000 ampere per meter resistance, far more relevant in a world of high-powered personal devices, home and office equipment. Ultimately, I have to mention that this watch has a more electrifying dial. Despite the lineage of the tapisserie and the old school fashion of creating it on a pantograph, this dial blows me away. It is the exact same effect, probably by the exact same method used to create the dial of the Vacheron Chronomètre Bleu. If you're familiar with that dial, this is that dial, all with white gold embellishments and hands to match. And finally, this watch has underdog appeal. I root for Vacheron's comeback. In a way, I don't worry about AP and its well-being. AP is set. VC is an exciting underdog with a great history and, I believe, a great future. You get that underdog appeal here without any of the sacrifices that usually come with underdog status. So on that basis, I'm all about the Vacheron. Guys, let me know which of these two watch would you put on your wrist. AP versus Vacheron. AP in green, Vacheron in blue. I'm going to give it to the AP, but it's close.